Welcome to everyone. Just we are following this book. Today's lecture on inventories. We have learning objectives here, as you have seen here. We have 4 learning objectives of this chapter, inventories. Discuss how to classify and determine inventory. Just we will discuss on this topic, on this subtopic. That means discuss how to classify and determine inventory. Okay. So here learning objective 1, discuss how to classify and determine inventory. Actually here classifying inventory here we discuss 2 types of organization: merchandising company or merchandising uh, enterprise, or manufacturing company or manufacturing enterprise. Here in our merchandising company we have only one classifications of inventory. That means very easy example. Here suppose this is our shop or enterprise. When we purchase goods, we purchase goods and we keep the goods in our organization and we sell goods. That means we are not producing here, just we are purchasing goods and selling goods. End of the year we count the inventory. We call this is the merchandising company inventory. This is only one type of inventory here. Okay. And here manufacturing company, 3 classifications: raw materials inventory, work in process inventory, and finished goods inventory. Very easy to understand, I think. Suppose this is warehouse, that means raw materials warehouse. And raw materials, this is raw materials. The raw materials, we send the raw materials in work in process. This is the work in process. Suppose we call this is the factory. Work in process, we have a lot of machines: machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, machine 4, machine 5, etc. Okay. The end of the year, when we count end of the year, when we count our inventory, just we call this is the work in process inventory. That means this is the work in process or continuous process in factory. Okay. So end of the year, just we will see that some goods are uh, in the machines. Okay. So we call this is the work in process. And also we call this is the semi finished goods. Okay. Semi finished goods. And then after finishing the goods, we keep the goods in the warehouse. We call this is the finished goods warehouse. And from the finished goods warehouse we sells the goods to the various parties. That means various customer or agent, etc. Okay. So here finished goods, end of the year, in our hand we have some finished goods. We call this is the finished goods inventory. So in manufacturing company, number 1 raw materials inventory we will get, number 2 we will get the work in process inventory, and finally finished goods inventory. I think everybody is clear. Okay. Now move to next slide. Determining inventory quantities. So how could we determine the inventory quantities? Just now we discuss that point. Physical inventory taken for 2 reasons. Now here we have 2 types of inventory system, that is perpetual system and periodic system. Okay. So what is perpetual system? Just a very simple definition here. Perpetual in perpetual procedures requires the maintenance of records that provides a continuous summary of inventory items on hand. That means suppose our organization related to television. Suppose this is the television. We purchase a television when we start the business. We purchase television 50 pieces. So 50 pieces television, we sold 10 pieces. So we have 40 pieces television in our inventory. So uh, in daily basis, we count the inventory. Suppose these 50 televisions, and first working day we sold 2 televisions. So in our hand we have 48 televisions here. Okay. So second working day we sold 2 televisions, or suppose 3 televisions. So we have 45 televisions in our hand. So every day or end of the working day, we can count, or we also in third day or third working day. Suppose third working day means just in the month, I consider month first working day, second working day, or third working day. We purchase suppose 10 television. So in our hand available 55 television set. Okay. So this is very easy to understand, and we call here this is the continuous summary of inventory items on hand. Okay. So here check accuracy of inventory records. That means everyday records we can check. We can check. We can check accuracy of inventory records. Number second, just determine amount of inventory lost due to wasted raw materials, shoplifting, or employee theft. In these cases, just we have lost any goods. That times we can determine the amount of inventory end of the day. Okay, thus we call actually this is a continuous summary. Number second, periodical system. In periodical system, just a business enterprise that uses periodic procedures doesn't record the cost of merchandise items when they are sold. Rather, the accountants wait until the end of the reporting period. Just periodical system. This is the large organization, those who are business just merchandising goods. Suppose this is the business organizations, a lot of goods here. It's maybe a small organization or large organization, it doesn't matter, but basically just when we sold our goods, just we doesn't record the cost of merchandise items when they are sold. Okay, but we will not consider these merchandise items when we sold it, but rather the accountants wait until the end of the reporting period. That means suppose reporting period 31st December, 31st December, so we need to be waited 31st December to record or to consider the merchandise in goods. That means sorry, the inventory. Okay, so here actually determine the inventory on hand. Here end of the year, or end of the accounting period, or end of the reporting period, just we need to be determined the inventory on hand. Number one. Number second, determine the cost of goods sold for the period, and also we need to determine the cost of goods sold. Okay, now move to next slide. I think everybody is clear this slide. Okay, so taking physical inventory involves taking physical inventory involves counting, weighing, or measuring each kind of inventory on hand. Actually, companies often take inventory. When company take inventory, just here we have shown two causes: when the business is closed or business is slow. Number second, at the end of the accounting period. Okay, I think explanation is very easy. When the business is closed, number one point, and number second, end of the accounting period. That means accounting period, suppose 31st December or 30 June, this is the end of the accounting period. That times the companies takes the inventory. Next, meaning ownership of goods. This is the point. Now, goods in transit. Purchase goods not yet received. That means here, this is our organization. We have purchased goods but not yet received. Not yet received in our organization. And sold goods not yet delivered. But we sold goods. This is the sold goods but not yet delivered. But actually, we call here. I can tell here purchase goods not yet received. That means goods not received. That means goods not considered inside the organization, and we sold, but this goods is inside the organization, but we not delivered these goods. Okay, so I think everybody is clear. Move to next slide. This is the determining ownership of goods. Goods in transit, very easy to understand. FOB, shipping point. Shipping point, this is the shipping point. Ownership passes to buyer here. That means this is the buyer. That means buyer ownership of the goods passes to the buyer when the public carrier accept the goods. This is the public carrier. Public carrier, when the public carrier accept the goods from the seller. This is the seller. From the seller, when the public carrier accept the goods, we call this is the buyer side. That means ownership passes to buyer. So we call this is the shipping point, and these goods, for these goods buyer is responsible. That means we call that means buyer side goods. That means buyer purchase and uh, uh, seller passes the goods from this point. We call this is the shipping point, FOB shipping point. That means free on board. Free on board, it may be a public carrier, it may be ship, another truck, or just pick up, etc. Okay, or flight. Okay, so we call the free on board. FOB means free on board shipping point. That means we transfer. That means seller passes to buyer here. Okay, seller transfer to buyer here. That means the buyer is responsible for this goods. Number second, FOB destination. That means seller pays freight cost, or here buyer pays seller freight cost. Freight cost is paid by the buyer, and here seller pays freight cost. Okay, that means ownership passes to buyer here. That means the public carrier, for this the buyer is responsible, and ownership, here please look, ownership of the goods remains with the seller until the goods reach the buyer. That means until reach to the buyer, that is buyer doesn't accept goods as yet. Okay, so here this total portion is related to seller, and this is we call the FOB destination. That means the goods is reached to the destination. That means the buyer is now receiving goods from the seller. Okay, so we call this is the FOB destination. I think everybody is clear. The 2 point very important, FOB shipping point and FOB destination. Shipping point, that means when the ownership of the goods passes to the buyer, and public carrier accept the goods from the seller, we call the buyer is responsible for these goods. And here buyer is not responsible. Suppose in transport, the goods may be destroyed, or maybe another pilferage, etc., or accident this public carrier. So here this point, that means in FOB destination, buyer is not responsible here. Here responsible for solely to the seller. And the FOB shipping point, when the seller passes to the buyer, so the buyer, this portion is buyer portion. That means buyer is responsible any other occurrence of these goods. Okay. I think everybody is clear. Now next slide. Determining ownership of goods. Very important question. Please look here. Goods in transit should be included in the inventory of the buyer when goods in transit goods should be included in the inventory. In the inventory, the should be included. That means goods should be included of the buyer when the, here we have 4 points. So this point will be accurate answer. That means terms of sale are FOB shipping point. That means FOB shipping point. That means earlier I have shown is this is the FOB shipping point. This point, the buyer is accepting these goods. That means the public carrier accepts the goods from the seller. Okay, so this is the point. They accepts the goods from the seller. So this is the point. So this point will be correct answer. Okay, terms of sales, so FOB shipping point. I think everybody is clear. Now move to the next slide. Here just a rules of ownership. Please see this. Do it. 1. Has been company completed its inventory count. That means already completed, and it arrived at a total inventory value of $2 lakh. Okay, so you have been given the information listed below. Discuss how the information affects the reported cost of inventory. Okay, so has been included in the inventory goods held on consignments for false company costing 15,000. That means the has been company included the inventory goods held on consignment to false company. That means already false company received these goods. Okay, so this portion will be subtracted from 2 lakh dollar. The company did not include in the count purchased goods 10,000 which were in transit FOB shipping point. That means FOB shipping point, this is rights or legal to count these goods to the husband company inventory. So did not include, so we should include, so it should be added to this figure, to this 2 lakh. And number 3, company did not include the count inventory that had been sold with a cost of 12,000 which was transit FOB shipping point. That means we shipped these goods to the seller. That means this is we sold, and now the company, that means the husband company sold these goods. So this will not be affected. Okay, will not be affected. First one, this 15 lakh should be deducted. Second one, to 10,000 purchased FOB shipping point should be added. And number 3, uh, item 3, that means this is the item 3, was treated correctly. So no problem this item 3. Okay, so total inventory now will be 2 lakh minus 15,000 plus 10,000, so total will be 1,95,000. I think everybody is clear. Okay, thank you so much.